What's up guys, this is Balázs from Racing Brick. One of the main complaints about the powered up system is the new type of connector that is not compatible with power functions, it cannot be stacked, each and every motor, light or sensor needs a port on the hub. LEGO did not give us an extension cable either so far, so we cannot build really big things with the system without adding a second hub. I'm sure everyone has a lot of power functions motors and lights to use, but unfortunately there's no official adapter cable to connect the two systems. Last year I showed you a DIY solution that used the cable and the connector from a powered up motor or light, and I made an adapter that you can use to attach power functions motors to the powered up hubs. That solution only works in one direction, and well, you have to sacrifice a powered up device for it. Earlier this year I stumbled upon the webpage of a company called PVProductions. They seem to specialize in GBC design, but they also have some very useful hardware accessories, like these adapters and cables that I ordered from them. There's a link to their webpage in the description and in the blog post that you can access by clicking on the link in the top right corner. So, what do we have here? This one is an extension cable for powered up. This is the 20 cm version, but you can also buy a 50 cm one. This is an adapter cable that you can connect to a power functions power source and use powered up motors with it. The last one is an adapter cable in the other direction. You can use a powered up hub to power and control power functions motors or lights. Let's start with this one. The concept is similar to my DIY adapters I showed you earlier, but this one has double functions. There's a 3D printed little box in the middle with a switch. It can be used to switch between the regular motor and the train motor function. I will show you in a minute how it works. The powered up male plug on the adapter seems to be just a little bit bigger than the official plug, as it is a bit more difficult to plug it in and remove from the socket. It works, it doesn't get stuck, but you can feel the difference. Now let's see how that switch works. If you connect a regular motor to the powered up hub and you use it with the remote, then you have a so-called bang-bang control. When you press the plus or minus buttons, then you have full speed and the motor stops when you release them. A train motor behaves in a different way. The speed can be controlled gradually, and it only stops if you use the red button or if you step back to zero level. This is the purpose of the switch, to switch between the regular motor mode and the train motor mode. Here you can see the obvious advantage of the power functions connector. You can power multiple motors and lights from a single output of the powered up hub. The attached power function switch also works and can be used. One main disadvantage: it does not work with the power function servo motor. There is one solution for this from PVProductions. You would need to use additionally their power functions USB power box. I don't have one yet, so I cannot test it, but I will have a look at it later if you'd like to see how it works. As the adapter has the old style 9V connector at the bottom, just like the power functions extension cables, it is possible to directly connect it to a buggy motor and run that from the powered up hub. Of course you wouldn't be able to use the full power of the buggy motor, but still, it is a possibility. Now let's see if there's any difference between the powered up hub and the power functions battery box. Both of them has fully charged AAA batteries from IKEA. As you see, their speed is very similar. There's a slight difference, but there might be a difference between the motors as well, so we can say that they are powering the motors at a very similar level, at least if there's no load. We will see later how it changes under load. One remark about this cable: during my initial test, the switch on the device started malfunctioning after a while. It remained stuck in the train mode and started to behave weirdly. I contacted the customer service and they quickly sent me a replacement one. Now let's have a look at the other extension cable, the one that can be connected to a power functions battery box or IR receiver, and you can connect the powered up motors to it. It has a female powered up plug in a 3D printed housing, and it works just like the original one. As you can see, it works with all different types of powered up motors and the light as well. It is important to note that you won't be able to use the powered up L and XL motors as a servo. The speed regulator of the rechargeable battery box is also working, and it is possible to use the IR receiver with both the simple and the train remote. I'm sure you were wondering, yes, it also works with the Buvis unit. You can use the powered up motors with it. In normal mode, the Buvis unit provides 7.2 volts, just like the 6 AAA rechargeable batteries in the hub. As you see, their speed is similar, but the situation changes quickly when we switch to high or ludicrous mode. The last item is the extension cable. Well, it doesn't have much to test, it works as designed. So here's a little comparison with some load. I will try to power the same vehicle with a PowerFunctions battery box and the Technic hub. Both of them have fully charged AA batteries. The first one is the Volvo 42030B model. It has a PowerFunctions XL motor for drive. Let's see a speed comparison. I would say there's not much difference, perhaps the PowerFunctions version is slightly faster. Now here's a climb test. Here it is totally obvious that the PowerFunctions version provides more power. The one powered by the Technic hub can barely climb here and stops. The PowerFunctions version has no issues, it can stop and start again. Now let's try a similar comparison with the rally car that has a powered up motor. As you see, the difference is again similar. The one powered by the Technic hub already stops, and if it is powered by the PowerFunctions battery box, it can still climb without any problem. Let's see the pricing before we jump to the conclusions. The PowerFunctions to powered up adapter is currently €15.95. The powered up to PowerFunctions adapter is €27.95, and the extension cable is $21.95 or $28.95 depending on the length. None of them is particularly cheap, but let's see how they could be used. The first one is a little bit tricky. For each and every motor you want to connect to a PowerFunctions power source, you need to have one adapter, and you cannot use the powered up motors in servo mode with it. This means if you would want to use it, for example, to add buoys to the 4x4 Extreme Offroader for some extra power, you would need two adapters, and you would still need to replace the large motor with a PowerFunctions servo. But on the other hand, with an adapter cable like this, you can use the newer motors that have a better shape and connection points, and you can actually give them slightly more power even with a simple PowerFunctions battery box and an IR receiver. And I did not even mention the possibility to use them with a buoys unit. Another usage option could be in a GBC, where you could use a simple PowerFunctions battery box to power a powered up motor without the need of a smart device. The simple Technic hub in the Osprey set has the same purpose, but we still have to wait until it will be released in another set or separately. Now to the other adapter. I think this one is easier to use, as you can connect multiple motors and lights to one adapter, so this can be a more economical solution. You can use, for example, 4 PowerFunctions lights for a car, and you can hook it up to a single powered up port with the adapter. You could also take advantage of the Bluetooth connection and the coding possibilities of a powered up hub and use it with PowerFunctions motors. One thing to keep in mind, it probably won't work as well in high load scenarios like the PowerFunctions battery box. The extension cable is almost self-explanatory. It is cheaper to use it than to add another hub to your build for sure. So, are these cables useful and worth the price? It depends on how you are planning to use them. As discussed previously, there might be scenarios where an adapter cable is the most optimal choice, so I suggest to take a look at them and decide whether they fit in your creations. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and how you could use these adapters. If you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up. You can also subscribe and tap the notification bell if you don't want to miss my Technic reviews and other LEGO RC videos. See you next time, bye bye!